Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight, 24 hours after the Clash of Champions left us with a cliffhanger ending of a pay-per-view that's making us anticipate Friday very greatly. Raw proves why they were the absolute worst part of last night's pay-per-view and the worst part of each and every Monday night that we have in our wrestling fan existence. The best thing about tonight's Monday Night Raw was there was no unnecessary trips down into Shane McMahon's sweatbox. The Raw dumping ground was not on Monday Night Raw tonight. And we didn't have to see Teabag, we didn't have to see Mush, we didn't have to see Slapnuts, we didn't have to see Bebop and Rocksteady. There was no retribution physically in the building, which made this Raw easier to watch. But what we did have to see, what they did give to us, was nothing more than your standard episode of Monday Night Raw filled with rematch after rematch and a bunch of randomness that makes no sense, which is why you're here to see what the hell went down and what everything wrong with this show is. My name is Nick Nightmare. You are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Monday Night Raw review and reaction show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
There was a lot of things missing from Monday Night Raw tonight. Many superstars were absent thanks to the reappearance of the pandemic at the Performance Center recently, which has caused a lot of people to not be able to be used. And while I appreciate the fact that we didn't have to see Retribution and we didn't have to see the Raw dumping ground, we did have to see all of that time be filled up with something. And what does the WWE do when they're put up against a wall and they have to actually use some creativity? Well, they just go to the well and they go to previous week's scripts and then they decide to do random nonsense. Random nonsense. Just sitting here yesterday and you're announcing that we're going to have the draft in just a little bit over 1 week. It's not this Friday coming. It is going to begin next Friday on SmackDown. We are going to have a draft to shake things up again. So why in God's name are superstars from SmackDown showing up on Monday Night Raw tonight? I understand that you were a little short-handed, but that doesn't mean you could just blatantly break the rules. Brand split? What brand split? The one we're going to reinforce next week, boss? Fuck the brand split! We got nobody to wrestle tonight! Call that Mustafa kid that everybody likes! Get him on the show! But sir, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. Do what I say. God damn it, Vince. God damn it, all of you. How do you do these random things like bring Mandy Rose to Monday Night Raw tonight, of all nights, for absolutely no reason, and then they saddled her with a giant bag of trash? I thought for sure Mandy Rose and this new push that they had in store for us with Mandy Rose was going to be a singles push. Give us another singles competitor in the women's division. Somebody maybe that we could take seriously. Somebody maybe they could build up from the ground up on Monday Night Raw. Kind of hit the reset button and begin over. And they did kind of do just that. But they gave her a giant bag of trash named Dana Brooke. She's saddled with this weight of somebody that nobody wants to see. Somebody that is not that great in ring. Somebody that's got lips that look like she could suck chrome off a fender. Nobody cares about the old sausage factory Dana Brooke. And putting her with Mandy Rose is random. Mandy Rose sitting there going, oh, well, Dana's always had my back. When? When did this happen? Anytime I have ever seen Mandy Rose, there has never been a wild Dana Brooke to be spotted in the background or anywhere else around her. All of a sudden, they're best friends. Dana's got my back. Well, you should get some better friends, Mandy Rose. Terrible. Terrible. They did the same thing with the surprise announcement, the surprise superstar that was going to face Drew McIntyre in the open challenge. Once again, what does the WWE do when they don't have 2 dimes and a nickel to rub together to make a quarter and they can't figure it out because they're all a bunch of brain dead morons? They go, oh, well, we'll just have him do an open challenge. We can't figure out anything else that makes any sense. We're going to keep Seth Rollins all occupied with this Rey Mysterio family drama bullshit. We're going to have Kevin Owens wrestling with Captain Aleister Black Sparrow that is just absolutely weird and got new theme music tonight, which is weird and has a new look, which is kind of similar to his old look, just now he's wearing his big pirate sash across his face to cover his newly contact lensed eye, and it's just a bunch of randomness. It's randomness. And it doesn't make sense. Because just as it's random, at the same time, it's just repeat. It's rematch after rematch. How many times are we going to have to see Apollo Crews versus the Hurt Business in some way, shape, or form? Ricochet versus the Hurt Business in some way, shape, or form? How many times are we going to have to see Andrade in the ring losing to somebody? Now, Keith Lee definitely needed the win, but you would think that Andrade was going to get some sort of a push coming off of what's happening. Is he in the tag team division with Angel Garza, or is he not? Is he going to be a babyface, or is he a heel? I don't understand what they're doing because they don't understand what they're doing. How many times do we have to see legends coming out of the woodwork? That's also the go-to. Well, the ratings are dipping. We don't know what to do. Let's tell everybody that the legends are going to be on Raw. And the legends were on Raw to be murdered by Randy Orton. Randy Orton doing his best Buffalo Bill impersonation. Randy Orton went down to the local spy shop and he got himself a pair of night vision goggles. And he went into the back at the end of tonight's Monday Night Raw and assaulted the 4 legends that assisted in the championship match that gave Drew McIntyre the win last night at Clash of Champions. The only thing is we couldn't see any of it because he turned out the lights. He turned out the lights and assaulted everybody in the room except for the cameraman. He left him standing, turned on the lights, removed his little Call of Duty 3D glasses, and walked off. Randy Orton pretended all night to be a janitor. He's the only man in the vicinity. He pointed all of the officials in the direction, but nobody thought to stop and question this hooded janitor man that's very, creepily and methodically walking away from the scene of a crime. An attempted murder of 4 men. That's them trying a little bit too hard. This is just more proof to me that shows you that I was right with what I said last night, that they are just heading Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre straight for Hell in a Cell. Drew McIntyre is going to want revenge because of what Randy did to his legendary friends. And I'm already disinterested. I was hoping they were going to move away from this. We've been seeing the same stuff happening over the course of the last few months. The show has not changed. It's been the Mysterio Rollins saga. It's been the Hurt Business versus Apollo Crews and friends. And there's been little to no progression. It's just constantly the same. McIntyre versus Orton. Most of this stuff's been going on since just after WrestleMania, and it's tired. And we've been asking you for long-term booking, long-term storytelling, but you're not telling us any stories. You're just giving us the same segments week after week after week. Case in point, they had the rematch for the Raw Women's Tag Team Championship tonight on Monday Night Raw. This match just happened yesterday. Was it absolutely necessary to show us the same match again, only to have the same outcome anyway? It was a little bit better of a match than Zelina Vega and Asuka had last night at Clash of Champions. Tonight's match just technically was a little bit better, a little bit more relaxed. But was it necessary? No. Zelina Vega has now lost 2 nights in a row. Doesn't she go right to the back of the line now? Shouldn't she just go back to managing at this point? You had 2 shots at the championship. You lost both times in unimpressive fashion. You didn't do anything that made anybody make you believe that you were going to win, make us believe that you were going to win. So it's time to go to the back of the line. Or back to being a manager. Just a quick recap of the show, because it was garbage. It was another typical Raw dumpster fire. There was nothing really on this show to sink your teeth into and be like, yeah, I'll stick around and tune in tomorrow or tune in next week rather and be interested, because there's nothing really interesting unless maybe you're kind of a pedo, and that might be a little harsh, but I don't give 2 shits about this Buddy Murphy and Aaliyah storyline. We touched upon it last time we talked about it. The fact of the matter is, Buddy Murphy is 32 years old. Aaliyah is 19. I understand that there are relationships that have wide age gaps between them, but let's just think about this for a millisecond. If he is 32 and she is 19, then 11 years ago, Buddy Murphy became legal drinking age. He became 21 11 years ago. Aaliyah was 8 years old. 8 years old 11 years ago. Now, I know this is all, bullshit, soap opera, written, televised, scripted stuff. But it gives you the heebie-jeebies, doesn't it? Doesn't make you just feel kind of fucking icky? Like, this is a terrible storyline. It's not where we needed to go. This is not going to build up Dominic. How did we go from building Dominic to now incorporating Aaliyah? Is she going to be a superstar? No, she's just going to be a set piece in this story that should have concluded 2 months ago, man. I'm so tired of seeing it, and this is just getting started. Seth Rollins was pissed off at Buddy Murphy because he wasn't wearing a suit. I bought you a suit. You gotta go put the suit on that I bought you. So Buddy Murphy goes to put on this suit that he never puts on, by the way, and leaves his cell phone right next to the Monday Night Man bun. He picks it up, and apparently he knows Buddy Murphy's passcode. Or Buddy Murphy doesn't have a good enough phone that he doesn't have facial recognition. He doesn't have the thumbprint thing. Maybe it's not an iPhone. Maybe it's some sort of an older Galaxy, or I don't know. Might as well have been a flip phone, because Seth Rollins very easily accessed this man's phone, got into his DMs, and seen that Aaliyah and him were talking. Now, I understand as a father, and, if I had a younger sister, essentially, I'm going to be pissed off at Buddy Murphy, too. Okay, I'm going to be pretty upset. Like, why are you talking to my sister? I've been kicking your ass for weeks. We've been beating the shit out of each other for weeks. Romeo and Juliet, it's 2 warring houses and they're going to have a romance. And no. That is not what any of this needed. That's not what Dominic Mysterio needs to be a superstar. This is all just trying too hard, I guess. Maybe they seen how much the Uso thing went over with Roman Reigns, so let's try to do a family turmoil thing over here as well. Only this one is tremendously less interesting. There's nothing at stake. You realize the DM didn't have anything really that incriminating. The poor guy apologized to this girl, which he really shouldn't have apologized to her. And she's all pissed off at Dominic for hitting him with a kendo stick. But wasn't she in the ring just 2 weeks ago with the whole entire family, just tattooing Buddy Murphy to blazes with kendo sticks herself? Now all of a sudden he doesn't deserve it. Now all of a sudden they've been talking and I don't know if it's going to be love. I hope it's not love. I hope it's just more of her being a nice person and finding out that Buddy Murphy's actually a good guy and he's been corrupted by Seth Rollins, and that there's no romance that needs to take place, because it's just icky. It's just icky. And then, not to take anything away from Aaliyah Mysterio, she is a beautiful young lady, but when you're looking at Buddy Murphy and you know that he used to be with Alexa Bliss, what the hell is he going to want with Aaliyah? Let me stop. Because that I don't mean that as a disrespectful remark, but you know where I'm coming from. You got Alexa Bliss. You used to be able to do adult things with this beautiful little Miss Bliss, that like half of the entire world just, you get it. You know what I'm saying? And then there's This 19-year-old who looks like she's 12. I don't get it. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't enjoy it. And I hope that this storyline hurries the hell up because I'm just so bored of listening to Seth Rollins torturing the Mysterio family. I don't care. At some point, please give Rey Mysterio his eye back. Give him a cool little contact lens just like you gave Aleister Black. And let him get his revenge. Let him get his family in order. And let Dominic have his own career. Away from his family, away from his sister, away from all this. Sure, there was a little bit of intense back and forth between the brother and sister. Because she's trying to stop him from murdering Buddy Murphy tonight with the kendo stick as they went one-on-one for the honor of Aaliyah because they were talking to each other in DMs and she wished him a happy birthday. He said, listen, I'm sorry about all the bullshit I'm putting you through. And she's like, yeah, I understand. Happy birthday, by the way. It's like, yeah, if you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. She's like, oh, I might just take you up on that offer. Happy birthday, by the way. This was enough to bring Dominic Mysterio into a rage where he wanted to kill he didn't send her a dick pic. He's not sending her love notes. She's not sending him topless selfies. What are you so mad about, bro? Take it down. There needs to be levels. You can't react like this to a simple text. You could be, excuse me, you could be concerned. You could be, what the hell is the word? You could be not mysterious, but you could be interested. You could be on top of it. You don't have to be happy about it, but there was no reason to escalate it to the point where he wants to assault Buddy Murphy the way we've seen it go down. Plus, again, it doesn't make sense because she was beating him up with Dominic just a couple of weeks ago. Random. Absolutely random. This whole entire show, from start to finish, was not anything good. It began with Drew McIntyre and the Legends talking about how they got one over on Randy Orton. Randy Orton shows up on the Titantron because it became a little bit too much for him, and he just let everybody know that, hey, I'm going to get mine. You don't do what you did to Randy Orton, and I'm going to get my revenge. And then Randy Orton seemingly leaves for the evening. He grabs his bag, he walks out the door, and we believed we weren't going to see Randy Orton again. At least at that point I did, but once we started to see the Legends in the back room playing cards, I knew Randy Orton was coming back, and I knew something was going to happen. Asuka defeated Zelina Vega to retain the Raw Women's Championship in an unnecessary matchup. Keith Lee defeated Andrade in under 3 minutes, which I guess is okay for Keith Lee. He needed a solid win against a decent opponent. These are 2 former NXT champions. This match deserved more time. You had time to fill on the card. You couldn't have given these guys a nice outing? Would make Keith Lee look dominant while still allowing Andrade to persevere a little bit, showing his tenacity that he's not going to give up, giving us a nice good match, taking everything Keith Lee has until Lee finally puts him out of his misery in a 10-minute match. No, we couldn't have that. We had to have a quick squash of Andrade, who took the time out before his match to talk shit to Zelina Vega, telling her, you were nothing without me. You just lost again. And now it's going to be his time. Great. He says all this and then he goes out there and gets fed to Keith Lee. So what does it mean? It means nothing. We got to see the Hurt Business eating backstage. They were eating dinner. Some weird dude comes and sits down, and then, Bobby Lashley comes in. He's like, yo, you're in my seat. And then the guy leaves. I don't know. It was friggin' weird. Didn't make any sense. Then we had to see Akira Tozawa get eaten by the shark again. They replayed all that shit from last week just so that we could get into a 24/7, hey, look at me, avocado-colored, golden-plated, I'm a Clown championship belt segment of the night, of which there were 2. We came back from the promo and they ended up brawling backstage. R-Truth got beaten by Akira Tozawa, who sent him some letter that was supposed to be from the grave or whatever, and R-Truth was trying to sell it because R-Truth is great, but I'm so done with all of this shit, I don't even laugh. anymore. Akira Tozawa apparently is not dead. He was not eaten by a shark. He showed up and rolled up R-Truth and won the 24/7 championship until Drew Gulak reveals himself to be the ninja that was helping Akira Tozawa, and then he won the 24/7 championship, and then R-Truth won it back again. All of this happened also that they could promote a triple threat match for the 24/7 championship that was going to actually take place in the ring. And I love when they describe the rules. They go, the 24/7 title is defended 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But the rules are suspended when the championship is actually being defended. Do you hear how that doesn't make sense? They're saying that they suspend the rules of the 24/7 championship, but the rules of the championship is that it's defended 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, except when it's actually being defended in the ring. You follow it? You see the mistake there? You see why that's wrong? Because I do. It hurts my ears and it hurts my brain. It's just stupid. What you're meant to say is that people that are not in the matchup are forbidden to attack the champion during championship matches that are sanctioned. But outside of a sanctioned matchup, the 24/7 championship is up for grabs at all times. That's the intelligent, more logical way to explain this ridiculous avocado toast gold-plated colored championship, and we don't care about it anyway, but I just thought I'd point that out to you because it's proof of just how dumb this writing team really, really is. Hey, this is the same team that came up with the idea for the King's Court with Jerry Lawler, which accomplished absolutely nothing. It really accomplished nothing, except for the fact that Seth Rollins showed up on screen again to push the buttons of the Mysterios, because they're in there having a very simple conversation, talking very plainly about what happened last week, and then Jerry the King Lawler was the one stirring the shit. He just blatantly was like, yeah, well, okay, that's all well and good, but we'd seen how Aaliyah acted. She got all pissed off at you last week. What was that about? Jerry Lawler asking the hard questions, I guess. Rey Mysterio called his daughter naive and said she knows nothing of the business. There is nothing wrong with either one of those statements. She's 19 years old and she's not in the business, at least as far as we know. So what did Dad say so wrong? He didn't put her on blast. It wasn't an embarrassing thing. He's just stating the facts. And there's nothing wrong with either of those two things. The teenager's got a teenager, I guess, and the whole Buddy Murphy story doesn't work if she's very, very much in line with the rest of her family and does everything that they say. But it was too much. It was just too much. So we've moved away very quickly from the, Aaliyah maybe not is your child and Dominic's not your child, to the supposed love thing that I guess has pissed off Seth Rollins. And he's mad at Murphy because he's in love with Aaliyah. I don't know, and I actually don't want to know. But this whole segment coming down to what was going on in Buddy Murphy's DMs set off Dominic Mysterio, who was ready to destroy Seth Rollins, but then turned all of his attention to Buddy Murphy after Aaliyah started to stand up for Buddy Murphy. Rey Mysterio was upset, and she kept saying, he's not like Seth. He's not like Seth Rollins. And then she ran off, as teenagers do, run into the back. Everybody follows after her. And then we have Dominic versus Murphy announced after the break, only to have Natalya and Lana come out to the ring, which of course means it's time to not pay attention. It's bathroom break time. And then we got Adam Pearce getting his weekly Monday Night Raw fix. He's got to be the interim GM or whatever the hell he is backstage. The what do they even call him? The executive, WWE executive in the back, high-ranking executive Adam Pearce. He's in the back. He comes out. Lana and Natalya want the Women's Tag Team Championships to be forfeited because Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax didn't defend them one time. It's not quite how it works, ladies. You should at least know the rules of wrestling before you try to do something like this. Or whoever wrote this segment should at least know the rules. It's 30 days Then they are forced to do that. But Adam Pearce comes out. He offers them the opportunity to earn that. You can earn yourself a championship opportunity when Shayna and Nia Snax come back. If you beat our newest acquisition. And it was Mandy Rose. And Mandy Rose, with her bag of trash in tow, they announced Dana Brooke. Again, why these two women from SmackDown weren't brought over in this big draft that's supposed to be coming in a little over a week, and they rushed it and brought them up today, I don't know. You could blame the pandemic. You could blame lazy creative. And I guess it's probably just a combination of the two. This match was fucking awful. It was awful. It went 3 minutes. Mandy Rose gets the pin here. She was the highlight, not in a good way. She was highlighted. She was the showcase of this match, and she almost dropped Lana right on her head. So maybe that's a little bit more punishment, unintended, but punishment for Lana. And then, of course, she's the one that ended up eating the pin, because that was the knife twist in the back once again. 3 straight weeks in a row. Lana looks like complete and total trash in the ring. Not because of her wrestling ability, but because of the way the WWE books her, thanks to her husband going to the other company. Aleister Black was back in a dark room all by himself. It's probably even harder to see now that he's only got one eye, but he cuts a promo on Kevin Owens, and he finally lets us in on why he's pissed off at KO. And the fact is that he says Kevin Owens didn't help him when Seth Rollins had his eye attacked, and Kevin Owens did nothing to help him, and he still holds this grudge to this day. I guess if you gotta be mad for some reason, I guess that's a decent reason, but really? All this time later? We're gonna have this matchup, Aleister Black and Kevin Owens, which was a very good match at times, but I felt like it was just a little bit off. They were very stiff. I don't know if there were a few mistimed blows that started this to... It just felt a little bit more like a shoot. As we got towards the middle of the match, Kevin Owens seemed to be agitated. He was calling out Aleister Black, telling him he kicks like a bitch. And there was a lot of back and forth going on verbally, which is not very common during a serious men's singles match. And it even continued after the match as Kevin Owens was walking away to the back, saying, I'm just going to be here and fight. You can continue to stay there and be a little bitch. I don't know what really went down in that ring, but there was something slightly off about that match. However good it was, here and there, the main problem with the matchup, once again, thanks to the creative, comes from the finish, where Aleister Black was disqualified for accidentally, inadvertently, hitting the referee. You see, there was a spot where he got in the referee's face, and the referee felt threatened for a second there, but then he turned his attention back onto Kevin Owens, focused in on his opponent, and while he was swinging wildly away, the referee walked into Aleister Black, ended up getting an elbow in the chest, and disqualifies him for inadvertent contact. You're not supposed to do that. That's not how it works. It has to be forceful intent to injure the referee. Like, if the referee says, you better not hit me or I will throw this match out, and then you rear back and cock him in the face, you've broken the rule and you should get disqualified. Not in this instance. In this instance, he really didn't do anything wrong. And then as he was pleading his case, he got a stunner from Kevin Owens for his troubles. And it was, I'm telling you, these guys could put on some of the best matches we ever see if they get past this little tiff or whatever it was that happened. Aleister Black needed stuff like this months ago. He didn't need new theme music. He didn't need a repackaging. He doesn't need a bandana around his face. He needs more matches like this. He needs to have opponents that matter, and it would be good. But the lead up with Aleister Black, the way they wasted him in the Rey Mysterio Seth Rollins story, making him look like a chump and now turning him around changing one of the best songs that the WWE had left. When Aleister Black's song used to hit, you just got that feeling like when Finn Balor's music used to hit, or when The Undertaker's music hit. You just get that, yeah, I'm watching wrestling kind of feeling, and this guy is great, and I want to see him. But now it's just weird. It's still metal. It's better than what they've given to Keith Lee. It's better than a lot of the music that they've been putting out there lately, but it's still not Aleister Black's music. It's going to take a while to get used to. It's just a little bit unnecessary. I don't get it. You won't change Sami Zayn's stupid music, but you'll change Aleister Black's music. You change Sasha Banks' music, but you won't change Sami Zayn's music. He's a heel with one of the happiest, dumbest songs ever. Doesn't go with his character at all. But here you have Aleister Black with a perfect song, and Sasha Banks as well. Perfect song, works either way, heel or babyface. Didn't need to be tweaked. You change that. You're worried about that, but you're not worried about booking a good ending to this matchup. Or just have them fight and have the referee lose control. Well, whatever happened to that? Instead of somebody just getting disqualified, can't we just throw a match out? I'm throwing this match out. It's out of control. These guys want to kill each other too much. They're going to have to fight again some other time, and I don't want to be the referee in that match. There's a good story to tell. Do that. You numbnuts. Terrible. Terrible, terrible stuff. The triple threat match, R-Truth defeated Drew Gulak and Akira Tozawa to retain the 24/7 championship. Nobody in the world gave a shit. Charlie Caruso interviewed Mandy Rose and Dana Botch. She said it was a no-brainer to have Brooke as a partner because she's a great athlete. There are lots of great athletes in the world. A lot of them can't be pro wrestlers. And she was always there for her, like we mentioned before, which is a crock as far as I know. I've never seen it happen. I've watched a lot of behind the scenes. I've heard a lot of stories. I've been in the know, in the dirt sheets and everything. Never once have you heard Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose's name in the same sentence. Whether it's getting into shenanigans outside the ring or doing anything at all in the WWE. When was the last time you remember it? Because I don't remember it at all. Dana Brooke said that Mandy Rose was always an inspiration because she gets up after she gets knocked down. What the fuck is this lady talking about? What is she talking about? Whatever they wrote, right? And it's garbage. Mandy Rose says that she knows the Riot Squad were next in line, but regardless, they are going to be heading for those titles, meaning the women's tag team championship belts, and throwing together some other makeshift team to be the challengers for a makeshift team who aren't even a tag team for maybe a little bit over a month now, and they've been the champions the whole time they've been tagged. It's just, this is not the way to go about any of this. And if I was the WWE, I'd do away with the women's tag team titles. I would just put them on the shelves right now. You don't have enough females to pull this off. You don't have legitimate teams. Your women's roster in a singles capacity sucks to high hell. Put this to the side for now. If you're not going to take it seriously, don't use it. And you could say that for mostly everything on this show. Buddy Murphy defeated Dominic Mysterio due to disqualification. As always, thanks to the interference. I'm sorry, not due to disqualification. Due to a roll-up, as always, thanks to the distraction by Aaliyah. This match, I'm just tired of seeing it. How many times have we seen Dominic Mysterio and Buddy Murphy in the ring together? This guy's been in the ring with Seth Rollins for street fights, and now he's here to fight Buddy Murphy. It got out of control really quickly. There was kendo sticks. There was a lot of action outside the ring. But what the story was all about was Aaliyah, who, of course, came down to the ring begging Dominic to stop. Dominic was yelling back at her saying he's trying to protect their legacy. He's trying to protect their family. Doesn't she know what he's done, what Seth has done? And she keeps saying that Dominic, he's not like that. Buddy's not like Seth. Murphy's not like Seth. And then Dominic called her naive, and then Aaliyah slapped her brother in the face and marched off. And that was the end of all of that. Dolph Ziggler talking to Adam Pearce, the man in charge of Monday nights, saying that he's got an idea for him. And I was thinking what everybody was thinking was, Jesus Christ, Dolph Ziggler does not get a shot. He's already had a shot. The caveat for the open challenge was it had to be somebody that Drew has not faced for the championships, or for the WWE championship rather, before. So it couldn't be Dolph Ziggler, but Dolph had an idea. I thought at first that he was going to bring somebody from the underground like Yabba Dabba or something, but it ended up being a little bit better than that, but also at the same time a little bit worse than that. After this, we had the six-man tag. Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and Mustafa Ali defeated the Hurt Business. Now, I don't mind Ali getting a win. That's not what this is about. This complaint is about the fact that Ali's not on this show. This complaint is about the fact that Apollo Crews tapped out to Bobby Lashley last night, and I thought it was going to be the end of this long and painful road that we are on. But instead, we once again get a six-man, and they interchanged Cedric Alexander, and they changed him out for Mustafa Ali. Cedric Alexander couldn't make it to the show tonight. He was in Hurt Business boot camp. I don't know what that entails, and I hope to God we don't ever have to find out. Because if it's anything about making those t-shirts that they're wearing, then boy, I don't want nothing to do with that. Talk about some lazy-ass creative. Look at the t-shirts that the merchandise company has been pumping out, man. Nothing but text logos. Minimalist text designs. They just took gold letters and put them on a t-shirt. There's nothing cool about that. But I have a feeling that's where Cedric Alexander is. He's in the back pressing those t-shirts with all that gold leaf on the t-shirts. What else would Hurt Business Boot Camp be? Is he getting his ass beat in an empty underground by a bunch of guys, a bunch of ninjas, the rest of Retribution, the 50 guys that don't have contracts? What's the boot camp about? Cares. But the fact that the Hurt Business lost. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this faction because of just how overused it's been, and especially with the appearance of Retribution. They're baby faces in one segment, they're heels in the next. They're doing things for money. They don't care about alignments. All they want is to get paid. I understand that aspect of it. But if they are the hot hand and they are the best thing you got going on Monday Night Raw, why would you sacrifice them in this moment and have MVP be pinned by Mustafa Ali coming off of a dominant performance from Lashley last night at the Clash? And heading forward into a war with Retribution, you're going to have them losing to a team that they've been beating, or to these guys that they have been beating for the last couple of weeks. I didn't understand that. I thought for sure this match was going to get called out. I thought for sure when the lights went out and the Retribution logo popped up that the match was going to end because of that, and they were going to have some sort of a stupid explanation for it. But instead, we just got a regular old six-man tag team match. And Mustafa Ali, with a beautiful 450 splash, gets the pin on the head man of the Hurt Business. So I guess it doesn't really hurt. Because Lashley didn't get pinned. Shelton didn't get pinned. Cedric wasn't even around. So, I guess, whatever. They showed Ric Flair winning all the chips while they were playing poker, because that's important. We had a Bianca Belair video package. They're doing with Bianca Belair the Mr. Perfect style promos from back in the day. When Mr. Perfect used to throw the football to himself, he would throw a perfect spiral pass from one end zone and be in the other end zone down at the end to catch it himself. He didn't even need another guy. He was that perfect. Shooting basketballs from behind and hitting them every single time. Beating legends in track and field and things of that nature. This is what they are doing with Bianca Belair. The only problem with this is that this is what we should have been seeing fucking months ago. Before you wasted her debut alongside the Street Profits. We should have been seeing these vignettes. Building her up as a threat. Showing her beating men in weightlifting. Showing her being dominant on the track and field court. I'm sure basketball is going to be next. Or even maybe amateur wrestling or something of that nature. They got to keep building her up. Keep her out of the ring. If you don't know what to do, don't put her in the ring just to feed her to somebody else. You allow these vignettes to do their job. And week after week, continue to show us just how much of the EST of WWE she is by highlighting how perfect she is in a proven way. In a way that you know is going to work because it worked the first time. It's going to work again this time. I enjoyed the last one that they did last week, and I enjoyed this one again, and I hope that they continue to do more of these promos. Probably my favorite thing on this whole entire show. Then they aired a Retribution video package because they weren't there physically, but they had to show us everything that they have done since day one, and having to relive it even in that 1 minute segment just made me hate it even more. I didn't want to see Teabag, I didn't want to see Slapnuts, I didn't want to see Mushface, I didn't want to see any of it. I was hoping that the fact that we didn't really see or hear anything about Retribution for a majority of the show meant that it was being put away and that they were going to try something else. But that, of course, is not the case. Vince McMahon doesn't admit defeat. Look at Roman Reigns. It took him 6 years to get there, but finally he's on the right track. But the man will not give up. I was hoping the same to be true for the Raw Underground, but I'm assuming that they just didn't have enough talent to go around tonight, and that the Underground will continue to be the dumping ground of Raw once we get back to full roster status. What is it going to be like after the draft in a couple of weeks? Who the hell knows? It's a big mess as it is right now. Part of me is wondering if they're putting people on shows right now so that they could be drafted back to SmackDown, and you'll be like, oh shit, Mustafa Ali's been drafted to SmackDown. Meanwhile, he's been on SmackDown the whole time. He was just on Raw for one night. Just to make it feel like a surprise, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. And finally, in the main event, Drew McIntyre defeated Robert Rood. And I liked this match. This was a good match. It wasn't a great match. These guys can have a great match. I've seen them go at it before, but it was in NXT, and those were many, many years ago when NXT was great, not this ridiculous watered-down version of NXT that we have today. But good match, bad finish because Dolph Ziggler had to get involved. Bobby Roode did not need to be sandbagged with Dolph Ziggler. He needed to come back and be something new. He was anything but glorious on this night, just due to the fact that he was once again put with Dolph Ziggler. Just because there was no Underground doesn't mean you had to force in Dolph Ziggler. The one thing you should have done was separated the two of them. Why'd you have to make us remember that they were even a tag team to begin with? You should have just had him come out on his own. The glorious music would have played. He would have came out. He would have made his stand, had his challenge, and lost. Still not the smartest way to bring somebody back, to have them come in just to lose to the champion, but it was a good enough match to warrant maybe another one down the line. Bobby Roode has always been one of my favorites in pro wrestling. He is another one in a long line of NXT talent that has been grossly underutilized and misused and mislabeled and needs to have at least one good run. Do you realize in all this time that they've had Bobby Roode and AJ Styles? We have not had Bobby Roode versus AJ Styles in any way. And I think that's a crime. I think that's a crime. They don't know what they got all at their fingertips. And Monday Night Raw is proof of that, because we had this ridiculous show full of rematches. A couple of times they tried to surprise you, like with the Robert Roode thing, like with the Mandy Rose thing. But most of those things just kind of fell on deaf ears. And then the very, very bad ending. The very B-movie ending, the very cheap ending of having Randy Orton go all psycho killer on us with his night vision goggles, but we don't get to see shit. You know what the coolest part of Silence of the Lambs was? At the climax of the Silence of the Lambs movies, I'll try not to spoil it too much, but I mean, it's a 50-year-old movie, 40-year-old movie, you should know what happens, Clarice. Okay, the coolest part of the climax of the film is that you can see through the eyes of Buffalo Bill. So he's got the night vision goggles on, but you see what he sees. We're not seeing anything. here on Monday Night Raw. We're seeing pitch black. Randy Orton puts the goggles on, he turns out the lights, and we see nothing. So there's no suspense. There's no anticipation. There's no horror to this angle because I'm staring at a black screen and listening to somebody whacking a chair against a wall. Because that's not the sound it makes when it hits a human body. So we just rapping the chair against the wall. Everybody messes up the place and they all lay down on the floor. And then the lights go back on. There had to be a better way to do this. And if they were concerned about hurting the guys like Flair and Christian with neck injuries and stuff like that, you could have been safe. Here's an idea. How about you don't bring the 74-year-old Ric Flair around when there's the pandemic situation happening once again? How about you let him stay home and stay safe? And you could have just had the Big Show and Christian and Shawn Michaels in the back got their ass kicked in a green tinted light. You want to make the whole ring red for the fucking Fiends matches, but you won't do something cool and innovative here where it's needed. Which is why I hate this show so much. And I guess that, the cameraman had to stay safe because without him, nobody would have known what would have happened. Right? Why didn't they let Randy Orton knock him out too? And then you could have had the lights go on and the camera would have been on the floor. Tilted sideways. You could have seen Shawn, and you wouldn't even have had to have Ric Flair in view of the camera because the cameraman would have been down. So easy for me to think of simple little fixes, but they can't think of what to do with 3 hours of TV. And they have to do this every week. Oh my God, that's it. I'm done. I'm tapping out. The poop hammer came down on literally everything that happened tonight. There are no redeeming factors of this show. At least at the Clash of Champions, we had a great Intercontinental Championship triple threat ladder match, and we had the very, very intense, very dramatic, very powerful Roman Reigns, Jey Uso Universal Championship match. And if you missed my review of that and you want to know more about what I thought about last night's show, the link will be in the annotations up above. The Clash of Champions review is live. My Sledgehammer series continues, and this time we took a step outside the WWE realm and we put pencil to paper and brought to life Thunder Rosa, the NWA Women's Champion. She's got a great look. She's, right now, we're turning into Halloween season. Perfect for the theme. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. That'll be linked up there as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Show your Sledgehead colors proud, and make sure that if you enjoyed today's show, you hit that thumbs up. Share it with your friends, all of your wrestling buddies, all over the wrestling world, especially if they hate Monday Night Raw just as much as we do. But don't forget also to leave your comments down in the comment section. What did you guys think of tonight's follow-up of Monday Night Raw to the Clash of Champions? Because, I thought it was its usual dumpster fire self, even without the added stain of Retribution and the Raw Underground. That's it, my friends. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the Team Thor, the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball, the most important member of the team, as always, each and every one of you. That's going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here for your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.